Here, Kelly Loeffler is going to make the Reverend Raphael Warnock look like an absolute badass.
Praised Marxism and the redistribution of income. Can you here and now for all Georgians renounce socialism and Marxism?
So Kelly Loeffler, what a total psycho, right? She's just like, can you here and now for all the Georgians renounce Marxism? Marxism is just, the ideas of Karl Marx. Karl Marx wasn't a government leader, a political leader. He was just a writer, an economist, just a writer. That's all, just a guy writing a bunch of shit. So a Marxist, you should read Marx if you just want to understand history, but to be a Marxist is kind of to be a Karl Marx stan. So it'd be easy to say, I'm not a Marxist, but I guess it's like, where are you going with this shit? But he does not, Reverend Raphael Warnock does not say he is not a Marxist. He just says he participates in the capitalist system and gets other people to participate in the capitalist system too. So at the very least, he's mixed, right? Half Marxist, socialist, communist, and half capitalist. And at the best, maybe he's just, full-blown Bernie Sanders.
Listen, I believe in our free enterprise system, and my dad was a small business owner. And during the Great Recession, you know what I was doing? I was leading my church to build a community center where, among other things, we had a financial literacy center that taught people how to repair their credit, create a 700 credit score community, how to create a business, how to buy a home, how to participate in our free enterprise system. Kelly Loeffler, on the other hand, was teaching the big banks how to hide their investments offshore in the Cayman Islands. This is how she spent her career before she went to the Senate. This is what she's been focused on now that she's in the Senate. She was only there 3 weeks. I'm not sure she was fully unpacked when she started dumping millions of dollars of stock trying to protect herself. And she purchased that seat. It's done well for her. The issue is that the people who sold it to her don't own it. And the people of Georgia are coming back to get their seat.
My opponent, radical liberal Raphael Warnock, has called police officers gangsters, thugs, bullies, and a threat to our children. When I gave him the chance to apologize in our first debate, he declined. He's also said that you can't serve God and the military. He's used the Bible to justify these types of attacks.
I was preaching that day from a very familiar Matthew text that says you can't serve God and mammon. It was a sermon about a moral foundation for everything that we do, and that when you have everything in order, that actually makes you a better soldier. It also makes you a better senator. And had Kelly Loeffler listened to the sermon rather than trying to make a cheap political point, she would not have used her advantage as a U.S. senator to make millions on a pandemic while playing it down to the people she was supposed to be representing.
Yeah, so there's no chance that Kelly Loeffler is going to get us any universal basic income, nor instant runoff voting, nor Medicare for all. Kelly Loeffler is just a crazy, absolute psychopath. She voted with Donald Trump 100% of the time. She bought her seat. She is a bought and paid for shield. Talk about a fucking scam. You can't get a bigger stand than Kelly Loeffler. And what are her views? So she's a rich oligarch. She owns the WNBA. Her husband owns ICE, ICE, which owns the New York Stock Exchange. So he's worth $500 million. So Kelly Loeffler is part of the elite, part of the wealthy plutocrat oligarchical class. Now, she believes that it's okay to murder Palestinians. She does not think that Israel is an apartheid state. There's nothing more clear than it's an apartheid state. You got the colors, you got the religions, you got the cultures, you got the... how are you... Everything that goes into Palestine is counted by the Israelis by the calorie. They don't want them to get any more food so they get bigger and stronger. Just the bare minimum. Just survival. So that's it. They're counting every single calorie of food that goes into Palestine just to say, just to make sure. This is insanity. They have security checkpoints. They have to have a special license just to drive their cars. This is in Bethlehem. Today is Christmas, right? December 25th, 2020 is the only holiday that Americans give a flying fuck about, and yet Americans, the U.S. government, on behalf of all of us Americans, are killing Palestinians over and over again. It's an occupation. They said because the Bible said it was their homeland, they went and took these other people's lands, and now instead of integrating Palestine into, Israel, they're treating them like America treated black people. They're segregating them, and they're ostracizing them, and they're putting them all to the side. Essentially, Palestinians are in Gaza and the West Bank, and so two-state solution. Fucking divide these stupid motherfuckers up. They can't get along. They don't know how to treat the Palestinians correctly. It's so fucking clear that Israel is an apartheid state. They're an apartheid state, just like South Africa, just like America before the Civil Rights Act. They are an apartheid state. The Jewish Israel, which is a theocracy against American ideals, we believe in freedom of religion, but they're a Jewish state. And so why wouldn't Palestine be a Muslim state just because they're a Jewish state? So Kelly Loeffler is okay with murdering Palestinians in Bethlehem where, baby Jesus was born. She's okay with killing all the baby Jesuses in Palestine. She don't care, how many baby Jesuses. There's just a teenager that just died, there's 3 or 4 teenagers that died 2 days ago, 1 week ago and shit. Every other fucking day there's somebody getting shot up in Palestine because they threw a rock. They're being oppressed. Two-state solution. That's America's official policy is a two-state solution. And we're such a grand empire. Why don't we fucking force our goddamn allies to make us happy? Israel keeps on attacking Palestine and then expecting us to cover their asses. And guess what? Our government does it with the United Nations veto. So Kelly Loeffler is okay with killing all the baby Jesuses in Bethlehem.
I'm not going to be lectured by someone that uses the Bible to justify abortion, to attack our men and women in the military.
I have a profound reverence for life and an abiding respect for choice. The question is, whose decision is it? And I happen to think that a patient's room is too small a place for a woman, her doctor, and the U.S. government. I think that's too many people in the room. But those who are concerned about life, and I certainly am, ought to be focused on the incredibly high rates of infant mortality and maternal mortality in our country when compared to other developed nations. That's something the government could work on. And I've been working on it my entire career.
My opponent does not stand with...
So Kelly Loeffler just keeps on making Raphael Warnock sound like a badass. Who knows what his positions are? Maybe he is a black radical Marxist who wants freedom and justice. He's a socialist, revolutionary. Perhaps he's all these things. Perhaps, him and Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, maybe they were best friends, Maybe they were best friends. He says that the cops are a threat to, our families and our children. They are. Cops are shitty. They are the terrorists at the very worst and a bunch of complicit assholes at the very best. They don't stop the crime, and a lot of times they're the perpetuators of crime. Violent kidnappings, stealings, murders, rapes. In fact, police officers have a higher rate of mental illness, drug use, insanity, drug use, and domestic violence. There's more domestic violence that's happening in the homes of police officers than that little spat between Raphael Warnock and his wife.
And with police officers, he's endorsed by organizations whose number one goal is to defund the police. He's called for our prisons to be opened up and emptied out.
Fantastic. We should do what Norway is doing. Yeah, open the prisons. Yeah, empty them out. Yeah, change the police. Yeah, police reform. This is what we want. We need a better fucking America. We want America to be as good as its ideal, as its promise. Somewhere I read.
He's called for the abolishment of the cash bail system.
The land of the free.
Fantastic.
Is the mass incarceration capital of the world. We warehouse 25% of the world's prisoners.
Right.
And people on both sides of the aisle know that our current criminal...
Kelly Loeffler just the whole time has a crazy, psychotic mannequin expression, just this little slight grin and just looking into the camera. She doesn't react to anything he says, not happy, sad, nothing, just a total fucking lunatic, like a total psycho. Now, she has posed with a picture She's done several racist-like things, right? So the right wing likes to say the left wing are communists, and the left wing like to say the right wing are, KKK, Nazi, Confederate pieces of shit. So while understanding that, you have to understand that, we got to be nervous about this shit. So Kelly Loeffler posed in the picture for the second time with an ex-KKK leader, Nazi Confederate piece of shit. He ran Klan rallies in 1990. This is motherfucking Georgia. She's posing in pictures with Ku Klux Klanners. And then the guy's name's Chester Doles. Oh, fucking Chester Doles. She's going to denounce him, and that's good, but then she's going to get interviewed by a white supremacist. She's being interviewed by a white supremacist, posing in pictures with these KKK people. She's an unelected senator. She's an unelected senator who was appointed. She's 100% shield for Donald, who can only best. Donald Trump defunded the military with his veto. Donald Trump defunded the military until they get the Confederate generals' names on the military bases, or keep them, or whatever. He's fighting for the Confederacy. And he shut the U.S. military down. He did something that Robert E. Lee, Jefferson Davis never could do. He shut the United States down for a Confederate ideal. He is racist as fuck. He says Antifa is a terrible thing. In World War II, we were the ones that were fighting against the fascist pieces of shit that was killing Jews and wanting to take over the fucking world, and we were the good guys. That's a good war. We were on the right side of history. And we were the anti-fascist. That's a bad thing? That's not a bad thing. It's a bad thing if you say the anti-fascists are bad. You're saying you're a fascist. She wants to say she said that Black Lives Matter is fascist. I don't believe anything that comes out of her mouth. It's projection. She's okay with killing all the baby Jesuses in Bethlehem. All the baby Jesuses in Bethlehem are getting killed every other day. And it's an oppression. It's an occupation. It's when black people is on the opposite side of the tracks. They can't come over here, do anything, do that, survive over there. And we'll be racist and shitty and terrorists and violence, and you have to deal with it while surviving amongst your own in the community. That's what the fuck is going on in Israel. And that's a racist policy. It's a racist policy. The Jews, they're brown, right? The Jews in Israel are brown. But they look white, they look European, they got democracy. It's insane to me that the Jews were the victims of World War II, and Antifa saved the Jews from the fucking fascists, and now this theocracy, this Jewish state in the Middle East, are doing the same shit that was done to them. They're the ultimate hypocrites in history. They're the ultimate hypocrites in history. And I love Jon Stewart. I hate religion. So there's nothing about... I think you could shit all over religion, but I'm not fucking Hitler, so you want to be religious and dumb, be religious and dumb. I don't give a fuck. More pissed off at your ignorance and your... just the good old boys.
The criminal justice system needs reform. And we saw that this summer, a multiracial coalition of conscience pouring out into American streets after the tragic deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and so many others. And what did Kelly Loeffler do? She used her enormous privilege and power as a United States senator to pick a fight with the black women on her team who know what it's like to grow up in a community where you have to have two talks with your children, one about the birds and the bees, and the other about what happened.
America does need to repent for what he's calling whiteness. Whiteness is the extra shit. Yeah, you're born with pale skin, but that doesn't entitle you to jack shit. So America does need to repent for whiteness. Raphael Warnock she makes him sound like a way bigger badass than what he actually is. So, he doesn't brag about any of these things. And, with that little spat with his wife, it's like, oh, shit. But because she makes it sound like he is like just a fucking badass through and through. Donald tried to do it to Biden, saying he's like a communist and shit, even though Biden's right wing. So my guess is that this Raphael Warnock is probably right in the middle of the road. Purdue is okay with genocide on Palestine. That's the other guy that's running in Georgia. This is a Senate race in Georgia, January 5th. He's also against D.C. and Puerto Rico being states. He's in favor of private insurance. He also was accused of insider stock trading. There's an FBI investigation on David Perdue for insider stock trading. He also made money with the Navy contractors somehow that was unethical. 500,000 veterans were kicked off of health care. So, damn, David Perdue was kicking veterans off of health care. But both David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, they're okay with massive genocide and killing all the baby Jesuses in Bethlehem. They don't give a fuck about baby Jesus. On Christmas, everybody get together, act like they're fucking good and decent and nice. Then how come you letting your government side against the baby Jesuses? My God, how many baby Jesuses have to die before America actually realizes that their Christian horse shit is a bunch of horse shit? Bethlehem is in Palestine. Bethlehem is being occupied right now. So what? What is my point?
What happens if you're pulled over by police officers? To acknowledge that is not to condemn police officers in general. I've worked with police across the years. I've been invited to speak at their memorial services when they've lost their lives in the line of duty.
So he's giving memorial services to police officers. He don't hate police officers, you know. He loves them, just like he loves everybody else. Here's Stacey Abrams going after, you know, fucking Loeffler for taking a picture with the white supremacist.
Kelly Loeffler poses accidentally for the second time with the KKK leader. And unfortunately, David Perdue has a hard time pronouncing the letter K. Doesn't seem to understand that the diversity that built America is the diversity that will save America, but we don't have to wait for them to learn to do their jobs. We've got Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff, and they will get the job done.
So the Loeffler says she's pro-gun, pro-wall, pro-Trump. So all about immigration, all about this racist. This is terrible. This is, okay, so just know that Kelly Loeffler is awful. Kelly Loeffler is awful on so many levels. She's, you know, awful. Let's, we'll come back. We'll do another one, okay? Peace.